it's not about stealing their money. It's about creating a reputation and a mutual highway, you could call it, right? Because I'm going to need them one day too. It's not always just a one-way street, right? It's just like anything in a relationship. It's 50-50.
Welcome back to Good Better Broker as we bring in Joey Roquet. He is with Secure Choice Lending based out of Riverside, California. Joey, great to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
A little bit about you. You've been in the mortgage business, this is interesting, since you were 18 years old. And with Secure Choice, you guys have been growing tremendously. You now have over 140 LOs. You're a purchase-heavy shop. 77% of your business is on the purchase side. And Joey, you and I were talking about this on the phone before the interview. We all know that this applies not just to mortgages, but to life in general. We live in an instant gratification society. Everybody wants everything now, and in some cases, they want it yesterday.
Right.
You take the opposite approach to that when it comes to business. Why is that the case?
So the guy that brought me in the business, John Swarzak, I was 18 years old, and I was on the teller line at a bank in Riverside, California, and I was making $10 an hour. Got an opportunity to be a junior processor, right? And at the end of the conversation, I didn't know what mortgage was because we were 18 years old. You don't know what you're doing. So I said, what are you going to pay me? He goes, I'll pay you $10.50. So that's how I got into mortgage. And that's the reason why I take the long-term approach is because from him, day one, he told me, listen, your refis are your bonus checks. Your purchase game is your salary. And if you don't pump up your purchase game, your salary will never be there, right? And so that was instilled in me at 18, even as like a junior processor, became a junior loan officer assistant, obviously worked up the ranks. So John Swarzak truly did that. And it's cool because it wasn't even just that. I mean, we're talking, he was like, yo, you max out your 401k, you go for the future, you know, because he used to say, and actually this was one of the greater things is he called my mom one day, which is funny that I'm bringing up my mom in this. He called my mom one day and he goes, hey, Joey wants the house on the hill. Tell him I've had the house on the hill, but don't take it too early. And so that was kind of one of the things too, right? It always just set in stone, like keep striving for more, keep getting better. Because the day you think that you've made it is the day you fail, right? And so I think that's why it's the long-term game for me. You know, starting at 18, having to get my reputation up, having to make sure that, you know, when they heard a 21-year-old on the phone, I had to earn their business. How? This is some young punk. Why am I going to give him a chance? You know what I mean? When I got 40-year-old, 45, 50-year-old veterans. So long-term game has always just been my mentality because of him.
I love the analogy with the house on the hill. It speaks to, you know, just if you want to have it all, I mean, when you get it all at an early age, it's like, well, what else is there to look forward to? So I think that's pretty cool. You mentioned reputation. I want to ask you about that because another thing that you're really big on is alternative ways of boosting reputation.
Right.
How do you go about that?
So I've done some creative marketing things, like actually, and we'll talk about this in a bit with my boy Aaron. But one of the things that me and you didn't discuss is, so I did coasters at local bars. I did coffee cup sleeves at all the local, I didn't do Starbucks, none of that. Local hole-in-the-wall spots that needed some money. So I'd sponsor all their sleeves, all the local hole-in-the-wall bars. And then also the best one that I ever did, besides some events that touch hearts, is I did urinal cakes. Yeah, urinal cakes. And this was in 2020, 2021. And on there, it said, if you think this is low, you should see our rates. And it was a picture of my face. Okay? These are lasting impressions, right? But the one thing that I typically do is I'll do a Mother's Day event. I call it pedicures and pre-quals. The reason why I do that is, number one, I believe, well, I think there is a percentage out there, but 75 to 80% of all realtors are women, right? Number two, the one human in this world that has more of a sentimental heart than me, you both, is a woman, right? And if they can bring their mom, their sister, their daughter to go get pedicures, manicures, whatever, the week before Mother's Day, on our behalf, you don't ask for business. It's just an open invitation. We rent out the salon. They get to go do it. Like, those are the lasting impressions. Say they're using someone else one day, they're like, you know what, that one guy, I'm going to call him because this deal's falling apart, and they give you a chance.
Might be the first time in podcast history that urinal cakes and pedicures were mentioned in the same answer. So I feel like we just made some history. So
I do things differently, man.
Listen, we appreciate that, and I just enjoyed the story. switching gears, and I don't know how we go about making a smooth segue from that to this, but I want to ask you about listing agents. And you're talking about some of the creative ways that you try to get agents to remember you. But I think it's safe to say, and you know this being in the business for as long as you have, that most LOs do not target listing agents.
Correct.
You do.
Yeah. There's a reason why no one targets them, number one. So you have a better opportunity. Number two, they still need buyer help. If they list a lot of houses, technically they have a lot of sellers that are buying, whether they're out of state. We're in 45 states at SCL. And also, though, it's reputation inside their office, word of mouth. It doesn't matter. You're going up one level. So what we do is a lot of cross quals for them, right? And the reason why we do cross quals is not to steal the loan. And that's one of the biggest fallacies of like, oh, we got to do a cross qual. They're trying to take my client. That's not what it is. It is to make sure that the listing agent, when they go back to the seller, and this started in the 2020 heavy, right? Because 2018, 2019 wasn't that crazy of a seller's market. But in 2020, 2021, it became a very heavy seller's market, 20 offers, 30 offers, 50 offers on a house sometimes in Cali. So we're like, listen, we'll do a cross qual, give us the top 5 offers, top 8 offers, whatever. We'll help you look like the best listing agent to your seller. I call, hey, Justin, just heads up, we got to do a cross qual, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, you're doing a loan, whatever. Cool, no problem. We'll do it over the phone. I look up your numbers. I make sure you're a good LO. You have a good reputation. I call my listing agent. Hey, listen, Shauna, whoever it is. Yeah, Justin knows what he's doing. Went over the package, salary employee. You're going to close this loan. They look like more of a professional to their sellers. That's why we do it. And there's no like instant gratification there, like we were talking about at the beginning. It's a long-term play to make sure that they just remember who Joey Roquet is. Because if they're listing agents also, when my pre-approval letter comes across their desk, guess who they're accepting no matter what? Joey Roquet, right? So there's a lot of things that can come in it. And also, like as an owner of Secure Choice Lending, that's how we landed Aaron Jimenez. And Aaron Jimenez is our number 2 producer. He's on, the crazier stat is this, okay? And this is everyone who's listening. He's going to have his best year ever this year. That supersedes 2021. And he did 65, 70 million. He's going to do 75, 80 million this year. And the great part is Aaron hits me up. He originally started at Wells Fargo. We had a similar path. I started at Provident Bank. He started a bank. He went to Neo Home Loans, great company, Fairway, all the above. Obviously, Secure Choice, we believe, is better, but they're a great company. And get on the phone. He was one of 5 offers. I got his offer accepted. He knew what we was talking about. I looked up his numbers. He's a great guy. 3 weeks later, had to do another cross call with him. I just said, Aaron, you're one of 10 offers. Do you want the offer or not? He's like, yeah, cool. Let me call the listing agent. I figured it out. They matched the highest offer. They got their offer accepted. Aaron Jimenez came to Secure Choice Lending within 6 weeks after that. But it's not about stealing their money. It's about creating a reputation and a mutual highway, you could call it, right? Because I'm going to need them one day too. It's not always just a one-way street, right? It's just like anything in a relationship. It's 50-50.
Before we go any further, I want to make sure that anybody listening to this understands exactly what you're talking about when it comes to cross quals, and that is a cross qualification. So for our listeners, please explain please explain to them what that means.
So the simplest way to explain a cross qual is just to make sure that you did your job as a loan officer, to make sure that the clients are actually approved. Because in the last 2 or 3 years, how many times have our agents received a conventional pre-approval letter, but really it was non-QM? So what I do is I send them all a templated email. Hey, just a heads up, according to our counter, you need to have a successful cross-qualification with Joey Roquet at Secure Choice Lending in order to move forward with your offer. Period. That is in the counter. They have the templated email. Please send over the following items to joey@securechoicelending.com. DU, 1003, credit report, any pertinent income documentation. Those 4 things. I'm not calling the client. You can black out the phone number. I don't really care. It's not about that. But if you can reply within 3 hours, you know you have a deal. If you got to give me 2 days to get me a cross qual done, at least the listing agent, even if it's only one offer on the property, they can go back and say, hey, listen, this is our only offer. We're probably going to accept it. But so far the communication has been subpar, right? And at least they can set expectation for their clients, which is the seller. So there's a lot of good things that you can do for your listing agent partners. And obviously the reason why I attack business that is less
targeted.
Yeah. is because I'm not going to go fight with 700 call centers. I'm going to go be Joey Roquet, and I'm going to be a good partner for them. You know what I mean? So that's why.
And this seems to align with your philosophy of not being a hard sell guy. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah, I mean, like I said, 18 years old. Like if I had plans to retire at 30, I probably need to hard sell a little more, right? But also, I've used this analogy before, and this is a lot to like the newer LOs. As I said, we're the people, say at Home Depot or Lowe's or wherever. Like, I don't know if you guys have a Lowe's or Home Depot.
We have both,
Okay.
yes.
How many times have you been asked if you want to open a credit card in front of people standing behind you at the counter?
Often.
Correct. We are those people. That's a hard sell. That's not the way you get business. I don't want to give you my name, my social, my date of birth, and all this unless, like, I know what my end result is. And I don't want to especially be saying it in front of people behind me. So we're those people at the counter. You got to remember that. People look at us as like kind of the IRS. We're checking your blood type, right? And that's the truth. So like, I think the best approach to do any loans, and especially in this day and age, is to remind them that you're human too. Like, you're the same as them. We're just in this together, right? And I think that's the best approach you can take. That's the reason why I'm a soft sell guy.
With the templated email that you have, and you know what you are doing with the listing agent, what message do you think this sends to the agent, just based on some of the feedback that you've gotten over the years of doing this?
I mean, the message number one is, I'm here for you. Like, that's as simple as it gets. Message number two is actually to the buyer's agent. Like, hey, these people mean business. You know, and I think right now, because of margin compression, there's a lot of agents who are also doing mortgage. And they'll be like, hey, let's go shop for a house, right, Jeff? We're going. Cool, let's do it. What do you make? What do you do? They don't really do the full package. They don't really do the job. We're professionals in mortgage. Then you have real estate professionals who are professionals in real estate. And when they see this as buyer's agents, they're like, okay, we mean business. We're going to get into escrow. Let's perform. Let's be better. So then they also put pressure on their lender too. It makes them perform at a higher ability as well, right? Because they see our proactiveness. Like, you should see, we got 2 big accounts in SoCal, one Zillow Flex, one some off the wall marketing stuff. And both of them use it, whether they use Joey Roquet or not, in regards to their buyers. They've started using Joey Roquet with their buyers. And other buyers agents have reached out to us, like, hey, listen, I saw you were proactive just on that stuff. What can you do for my people? You know, so like, everyone has the listing agent gets, it's like everyone's rising with the tide, right? You push people to be better. You know, when you push this loan officer to be better, then buyer's agent sees it, the TC sees it most of the time. They're like, hey, call, right? That's kind of the way it all works.
And conversely, Joey, it also seems like this is a way to kind of weed out the people that maybe aren't doing as good of a job as they should be for their clients.
Multiple people have not gotten offers accepted because they couldn't complete a cross qual. There was no names, local, Riverside, IE area person. I was like, hey, listen, your overtime was $1,000 on the DU, right? That's the reason why I asked for DU and any pertinent income docs. Year-end pay stub, VOE, whatever you're using. Cool. If you're using salary and it's $120,000 a year, it's a little suspect. Most people don't make precisely $10,000 per month, just like most people don't make $1,000 per month in overtime, right? And so, like, you can point out these red flags. And so I email chain, everyone's included. Hey, just a heads up, so-and-so. I noticed that overtime was $1,000. Your DTI is now 48.2%. You barely qualify. Are we sure we have $1,000 in OT? Because most people don't make $1,000 per month in OT, right? And then all of a sudden, backtrack. They're like, oh, yeah, you're right. I originally inputted this because we were trying to qualify for something else. And hopefully they were getting more overtime. Okay, let's not accept this offer, right? So, I mean, there's a lot of, it's good because no one gets kind of stuck in the mud, you could say, especially the sellers and the listing agent.
It's interesting because you also in your role do quite a bit of recruiting for Secure Choice. And when we were talking about this subject of cross quals and how it helps you build that brand capital over the long haul with your referral partners, it didn't occur to me that this could also be a recruiting play.
Mm-hmm.
You alluded to this earlier, but this helped you land Aaron Jimenez, who's one of your top producers in the company.
Yep.
I mean, when you think about that, what comes to mind?
Respect, right? Because like I said in the very beginning of this, cross calls are known as, I'm trying to steal your deal, right? And that's not the way it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a partnership tool, right? It's kind of like what UWM does. A lot of the tools you guys bring out, they're for partnership, right? Success track, memory makers, all that type of stuff. And so big picture for me is like, Aaron looked at me as not an enemy. He looked at me as a partner, even though we worked at two different companies, right? And I think it's been a big play. Trust me, I think we've recruited probably over 30 people because of it. But obviously Aaron's the highlight just because he's the number 2 at the company.
Another stat I want to throw out that we were actually just talking about off camera before the interview is that 98% of the LOs you have at Secure Choice come from retail.
Correct.
With a strategy like this, with the cross quals, how does that work when you're looking to add new talent to the roster?
First and foremost, I always look up numbers, right? Because I want to know who I'm speaking to. If you've had your MLS for 2 years, I'm going to speak differently to you than if you've had your MLS for 25. That's first off. Second off, I want to know where you're doing business. Because on MMI or wherever we look up the numbers, I can see what realtor partners you're using, where they're based out of, what's your local market. And then I understand all those markets, right? So I can speak to you that way as well. But I think the finite point is I came from retail myself. I started at a bank. I started at other retail shops. My partner, Mark Hostler, I was questioning getting out of the business. You can ask him. Skyline, I was at Skyline Home Loans. I believe it was one of the greatest companies I've ever worked at out of all the companies. And every company had a great spot. But Skyline, Freeman Sawyer was my manager. He was probably one of the most creative, one of the most innovative managers I've ever had in my life. Always thinking ahead. They got bought by Finance of America. Bill Dallas owned Skyline. Bill Dallas was a member of an investment firm that purchased Finance of America and Skyline. So I'm calling Mark. I got my second son on the way. It's been 45 days. I got no laptop. I can't originate a loan. I got 6 deals in the coffers and I got no money on the horizon. I'm 26, 27 years old. I don't care what age you are, but at 26, 27 with your second kid on the way, you need some money, right? So I call Mark and I'm like, yo, you're a broker. You suck at your job. This is what I've been told my entire life, right? And I'll eventually finish while I'm talking about this. Every manager in the world says you don't have control when you come to the broker channel, right? It's the opposite. I gave them all my loans. My clients got a 0.5% better in rate. I made more money than I did at any other retail shop, and we closed them in 17 days. And I'm like, well, what's the catch, right? And so I lived the life that they all lived. Like I was in the banking world with them. Like Aaron, he was at Wells. I was at Provident. I was, at obviously Skyline and then Finance of America, Eagle Home Mortgage. All these companies, they don't have one thing in mind, and that's the consumer and the LO. They have their bottom line pocketbook in mind, right? They got to make sure that their earnings are perfect on Wall Street. Don't get me wrong. They need to be good. But there's one thing in mind that will always be forward thinking, and that's where we come in. It's the consumer. Because if the consumer wins, the loan officer will always win because they will come back. You know what I mean? So I think that mentality, and my partner Mark, he came from the wholesale channel. So we're kind of like a hybrid shop, you would say. Like I'd say we're 70% retail, 30% broker, but not really retail. We just have more support in-house. That's the retail side, you could say. Like our processors aren't third party. They are Secure Choice Lending employees. We have HR, payroll, stuff like that. Because that's nice. It's nice to have that. Not to be in a queue for 72 hours. Little things like that. But that's the reason why I believe 98% of our LOs are from retail is because like I'm them. We are the same. It doesn't matter the volume you do. As long as you walk in the same shoes, you understand each other. Well,
with the volume that you do and that your company does, I was asking you, and this is a topic of conversation all the time for our clients, for LOs everywhere. How do you stay on top of your past clients and your referral partners so that when the time comes, they remember to work with you? And I was asking you how you go about this, and it kind of surprised me that you said, well, I don't really use a CRM for that because I leave such a lasting impression that is a CRM in itself.
Correct.
Why is that the case, Joey?
It's because of those little things. I'm born and raised in the city of Riverside. My dad owned a construction company for 45 years. You don't really have the name Roquet, right? It's not like Smith, right? It is a benefit. I'm not going to lie. But like those little things that we do or I do outside of just your normal LO activities, you're going to go get a drink with your wife at the local hole in the wall. My face is on your coaster. You're going to go to the local brewery or something. My face is on your coaster. You're going to go to the coffee shop. My face is on your sleeve, right? Little things like that, just brand recognition, keeping me in front of them. But also like the transaction in itself, I did start in processing, which I mentioned. So it's going to be the smoothest process in the world. I don't over request docs. Everything's always okay. You know what I mean? Like there's solutions to anything. The biggest thing that I can tell anyone, which has always been my motto from the beginning because of John, you can always find more money in regards to assets. You can't always find more income. So as long as your income's perfect, you'll never lose a deal. Because I can go ask grandma, uncle, brother, sister, cousin for more down payment, gift, whatever. But if your income's messed up, that's where you mess up. As long as you have perfect income, every single file, the transaction should always go smoothly, right? So little things like that, you know, we're cognizant of the ORs and guidelines. I mean, 50% of my deals probably this year have been saved. I'm like, oh God, we got to save another one. You know what I mean? Because someone, especially in this market, commissions are light. They threw something against the wall they shouldn't have. Okay, well, now I need to understand the ORs. Say a retail shop was using a 24-month average of commission. Now you can get away with 12-month because of a job change and certain, obviously, things. So that's the reason why it's a lasting impression. They'll be sitting at Thanksgiving and be like, yeah, well, Joey did my loan and no one else could. Andy Buckworth, great example, BMX, gold medalist, X Games. Bryce Tryon, same thing. Andy got denied by like 70 lenders. I'm not even exaggerating. Veronica Foster, wife of James Foster, who is another BMX legend, Redlands, California. She calls me. You're the only person that I know that possibly can close this deal. Took us 60 days, but I closed the deal. Now I got a great clientele and a great sphere of influence in the BMX community because no one else can do it, right? So that's the stuff that I do. You know, you got to make those lasting impressions. And sure, a CRM's great. I guarantee you, instead of doing 95 to 100 million this year, I could probably be doing 150 million if I had a CRM. I'm not going to say that I don't fail at that. I fail at that fully. But what I'm great at is what I'm great at, and I'm not going to change. You know, just be you is kind of the thing.
I love the message. It's really great to just have the opportunity to sit down with you and, you know, kind of peel back the layers of the onion and just kind of see how you think and how you've been able to operate and have a ton of success. So we appreciate you sharing with us, and we wish you nothing but continued success moving forward. Joey Roquet with Secure Choice Lending. Thanks for being here, man.
I appreciate you.
Thank you for watching Good Better Broker and helping us support independent mortgage brokers everywhere. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to be notified about new videos, as well as your preferred podcast platform for a new episode every other Tuesday.